What is going on, friends, and welcome back to the Minecraft Hub channel. It has been quite some time since we've recapped all the builds on the Hermitcraft server, and Hermitcraft Season 9 is going so strong right now. There are so many builds and cool things happening. It's definitely a great time to check it out. The first one we are checking out today is B-Dubs. B-Dubs has a lot going on the server right now, from new shops to builds of his own. You can see this build right here that he's currently working on. It looks really cool. It's a huge staircase going up to the entrance of this giant castle, and he just built up the doors and everything in one of his later episodes. But this thing is looking so cool so far, and the scale of it is absolutely massive. You can really tell, especially as he's putting up scaffolding and everything, really how tall and big this thing is. And this is just the entrance. There is definitely more to come with this build later on throughout the season, but it's definitely a very grand, epic start to this build so far. Next up, Doc M is continuing to do crazy things on the server. He's done a lot this season, but one of the latest things that he just finished up doing is a warden farm. And this thing basically spawns in new wardens using different sounds and the skulk mechanics in the overworld, transports them through the nether, and then they entity cram right here and then drop these skulk shriekers. Now this is a great way to have portable XP. You can carry along these skulk shriekers with you and use them to get XP to repair tools and things like that. And especially if you have a warden farm, you can produce a lot of these very easily with minimal effort, because this warden farm is not that hard after you manage to avoid the warden. Next up, False Symmetry is continuing work on her mega base, getting this thing just about finished up already. As far as mega bases go on the season, a lot of people are still in the early process of working on theirs, but False Symmetry has really gone above and beyond on working on this thing and getting it done as fast as she can, and it's looking really cool so far. Now, of course, there is still some work to do on it, but this thing for the most part is pretty complete. She's got the whole exterior of this thing built up, and it's looking so good right now. Considering False Symmetry is playing on both Empire's SMP and Hermitcraft right now, it's definitely impressive that she's gotten this much work done. It's definitely a lot of work to split yourself in between two servers, and the fact that she's putting this much work into Hermitcraft shows that she's going to be doing a lot of Empire's work later on in the season. This mega base looks so cool though. I really like the location she decided to build this in. It really fits with the base. Definitely a great choice to build it right here. It's tall, it's epic, it looks awesome. I love the different gradients on it with the diorite, white concrete, everything like that. Everything just pairs so well together in this build. Next up, Gemini Tay has continued work on her mega base as well. Unfortunately, the latest pillars she put up took about 4 hours to do just to get all the materials and everything. But once she had those pillars put up, she was able to continue work on the rest of this base area right here. This tower though is going to be a mob farm, and she's actually building the mob farm on the inside of this tower. Everything is just going to fall down to the bottom where the hoppers will collect everything, but I think it's a great way to actively be producing items while just at your base and working on other parts of it. I'm really liking the look of her base so far. I love the sandstone, birch, everything that she's throwing together in this build, the quartz stone, everything she's just combining so good. This center tower here where she's putting up the walls, this inside of here is where the mob farm is going. She went ahead, capped it off, put a roof on it to have complete darkness on the inside for all the mobs to fall down to the hoppers beneath, so she can collect up all the materials. I also really like the look of that roof. She did a great job with the shape of it, the dome that then extends up to that kind of pointy roof at the top. Looks so cool. Now Grian has been making a lot of progress on his base as well. Just underneath the bridge here, he's actually working on the rift, and the rift is this really cool project he's got going here. He's got all the boulders and everything matching to his base, which is just behind the bridge here, and then he's got black concrete on the back to just completely black out that whole area. Now he's also doing some very interesting stuff with the skulk blocks as well. Hermitcraft finally updated to the 1.19 update, so they now have all the skulk blocks, the warden, everything like that, which if you haven't been watching Hermitcraft this season, you're definitely going to want to check it out. basically all the hermits have gone and checked out fighting the warden and things like that, and they've had some pretty great experience with it so far, so definitely go and check that out. But Green here built up a mob farm as well to start funneling some XP down into the sculk to try to make it spread across the rest of this rock. Now, the mob farm didn't really go as expected, but it still produced some XP for that portion of the build. iJevin is also working on some really cool things so far this season. One of his latest builds is this huge cathedral, which I believe he put a villager trading hall inside of. This build was massive though, and I absolutely love all the detail and everything that went into this. You can see right here he's putting together the floor of the build, and even just the floor has a really cool pattern with those redstone lamps and the different wood with the deep slate down there as well. This build really came together very nicely. If you've ever seen any cathedrals before, especially a lot of the European ones, then this one, you know, looks really similar to all those. He did a great job of bringing this cathedral to life in Minecraft, and I really love all the details he used throughout this entire build. He's also been working on some new shops as well. This shop right here was a fireworks shop that he built up. I absolutely love the look of this, and we've seen some similar shops to this in previous Hermitcraft seasons. But this shop is selling just shulker boxes of rockets for 15 diamonds a piece, and you can find all those materials up in the rockets above the burnt out ground right here. Next up, Corrales has been hard at work on his base as well. This new addition to his base is a giant boat, and this thing was thousands and thousands of blocks. Absolutely massive. Corrales went all out on getting this one put together, and for the inside he even went on a little ocean monument adventure, get some sponges to actually get all that water out from the inside of the boat as well. Besides the giant addition of the boat though, Corrales also decided to expand this area right here that we looked at last time. He really did a great job of just continuing the whole theme of this area, adding on this whole new section right here that looks so great and really adds a lot to this area. You can see these are shipping containers stacked up right here, all being moved by a crane off the giant boat behind it, and I'm sure we're going to see some expansion to that boat and this whole area right here very soon. Next up, besides some more landscaping expansion on her mega base area, Pearl has been working a lot in the nether, getting the whole tunnel built up right here. This tunnel is actually what offshoots to all the different hermits tunnels. So after she got this part built up, Gymnite actually came and helped her out, and they decided to build the tunnel that leads to both their mega bases and also Impulse's mega base as well. Now, I really like the look of the inside of this tunnel. They did a great job adding in a ton of details and making this thing look really natural. This whole tunnel looks like the overworld is now just seeping into the nether, and it looks really nice having all that moss and everything else in there. Next up, we are checking out Rin. Now, Rin has some huge news with him, of course, because he is now king of the server. And his first decree as king was for everyone to throw all of their diamonds except for a stack of 64 into the pit to show both their loyalty to the king and to try to fix the Hermitcraft economy, because in this season the economy is very, very broken. And you may be wondering, why is the economy broken? Well, that is because they used all their diamonds and built up huge towers like you can see in the background with that redstone and that diamond ore tower. So all the diamonds were stuck in these towers and not being used in the economy. Well, now all the diamonds are thrown into the pit, and Rin now has access to them. He also went ahead and helped Zadaf out with this really cool project right here, which was getting all these creepers into a hole and then having a skeleton shoot through lava at the TNT so that they could get a ton of music discs from all these creepers. This was definitely super satisfying to watch, all these creepers getting blown up by this TNT right here, and they managed to get all 12 different discs in one go, which is super impressive. Next up, Good Times with Scar is doing some absolutely insane things for his megabase. He's finally started on that project, and he's basically creating an entire city. Now, Scar created a city in Hermitcraft Season 5, and I don't think he finished off what he wanted to do that season because he was working on a communal project as well, but that city looked incredibly cool. Now, this city is very different from that one, but it is already looking really incredible and there is so much going on here. Now this part we're watching right now is actually the second expansion that he did. You can see the first expansion in the back across the street right there, and that was where his storage room is going to be. These are basically all just facades of what's going to be huge rooms behind him containing large things that Scar needs throughout the season, like giant storage rooms. Now of course, he also has to be careful in case somebody places a warden in his base, but other than that, I think he's good to go, and these bases are looking really cool so far. Next up, Stress Monster's working on a new house as well. This one is looking really cool. You can see it's mostly made out of a lot of mushroom blocks. She's also got some spruce wood and of course that warped wood as well for the roof. But this is such a cool looking house. I definitely really like the tower design that she did on the side of it. It adds a lot to the shape of the house and I think really brings the whole house together. But I do really appreciate the mushroom blocks and everything used here because it looks so good and there's such underused blocks in various builds. Next up, Tango Tech of course has worked on his nether portal tunnel as well. You can see this whole thing matches his whole base vibe. He's got the deep slate, the snow, the diorite, the ice, everything right here. It really shows that this is Tango's base that you're leading up to. It's very dark and also has that kind of Ice King vibe to it. But he's also been working on his base as well. We've seen a lot of progress going on in the terraforming. As you can see, his huge builds that he did in the last video, of course, were too big for that small mountain that he's got right there. So he had to do some major terraforming to make all of that connect up. Now he still has a long ways to go as far as terraforming and finishing up the build, but we've also got a lot of Hermitcraft season left, so there's plenty of time for all of that later. But this is a huge section of terraforming that he got finished up. Next up, XB Crafted has been working on some pretty cool projects as well. This one right here is really cool looking. If you can't tell, those are all villager statues that I think look really good. They're all down just kind of bowing on one knee and they look really cool. We get kind of a closer look down here. You can see he's got a lot of skull shriekers here. Definitely a very interesting project that he hasn't quite worked out yet. But the endstone around adds a lot of contrast, which looks really great, and these villager statues I think are awesome as well. Next up, Zadaf has been working on a lot this season. If you haven't watched his videos yet, definitely go and check them out. He's basically just crossing off achievements in Minecraft, and one of his latest ones was actually catching an arrow in between his teeth. Or at least it was supposed to be in between his teeth. Not really sure where that one ended up. But anyways, he's been working a lot on his base. You can see his base is basically just a huge trophy room for everything that he's doing throughout this season. From trying to do an MLG water bucket to catching an arrow in between his teeth, he's been doing a lot of very fun things this season. And as you can see, he's also got just upside down mobs dangling from every other part of his base. So there are a lot of very weird and fun things happening around here. This right here was a small base expansion and I included it because I really just like how he edited it together, just adding in a pillar at a time through those videos. Next up, we have Zombie Cleo. Now Zombie Cleo has been doing a huge castle project over here, and this one has such a cool gradient that she's been using. This kind of deep slate black stone basalt all kind of forming together into the stone and then up into the diorite and white concrete up top. But it's such a cool project and she's come a long way this season because this thing is absolutely massive. I'm definitely excited to see the final product of this. I know she's still got a lot of work that she wants to do on it, but is definitely getting very close to what she wants to see for this project this season. Anyways, that is all the time that we have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it, and if you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button as well. We cover Hermitcraft, Empires SMP, Zetacraft, megabases in general. If you want to submit your own megabase, go ahead and send it to our email down below or to our Discord as well, which I'll link down in the description. Also, go and check out all the Hermits and their projects this season. If you don't watch Hermitcraft, you're definitely missing out a lot. We cover the megabases, but there is so much more to Hermitcraft, so definitely go and watch their videos. But anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.